Hi guys, Coffee Freelancer here, and today we're going to talk about how to flip video games on eBay and other platforms in 2024 and see if it's still viable. Stick around. So today's coffee of choice is Cinnamon Dolce by Starbucks. Definitely not our go-to coffee. Usually we prefer the darker blends or medium blends, but if you're in the mood for cinnamon, this is the coffee for you. So I've recently niched my online store down to 4 main categories: music, books, coffee and accessories, and video games, which is what I'm covering today. I have made videos on those other 3 categories. I'll provide links in the description if you're interested in the useful tips that I shared in those videos. I would still consider myself an everything seller because I still sell out of the miscellaneous category just because it's good for my area. This video will give you some quick ideas to get your brainstorming started if you're new to selling video games online, and some good reminders if you're a more experienced video game reseller. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll get the best tip at the end. But now to the tip.
ASAP as possible.
So tip number 1 is to only niche or niche into video games if you know for a fact that you can find a steady supply of used games to resell. This is my number 1 tip because I've seen many get into reselling that want to sell video games only, and they start out selling from a massive home collection that they have, and it's seemingly going very well, but then they find out once they run out of their home video games that they already had and venture into their town thrift stores, the only games they can find are just complete garbage, like these and these and these. Oftentimes this happens if you live in a small town and the finds are bad or few and far between. If this is the case for you, you might consider being only an everything seller or having a couple other categories that you know you can find. For this niche, living in a larger city or at least a mid-sized city, or at least living close enough to some that you can travel to, is very helpful for the process of flipping video games on eBay and other platforms. So my number 2 tip is talk to everyone you know who has a decent sized collection of video games. Oftentimes they have duplicate games that they will sell for cheap, or they will offload boxes full, of very good titles that will sell for a good price, for a nice little lump sum. So be willing to negotiate prices with people or trade. I've seen many, and at times myself, not negotiated on a video game price when I may have been able to get a better deal. I've seen people just take the suggested price right away because they're scared of negotiation or worried that the person will start a confrontation or something. When I decided to start asking more often if people would go a bit lower on the price, I was surprised at how often they would. Now, I'm not saying to lowball people or to take advantage of people that don't know the price or anything, but just be willing to have the conversation in a productive way. Many people want to trade as well, and it can be a win-win if you have something that they want or need and you have something that they need to complete a collection. So my number 3 tip is talk to pawn shops near you. Oftentimes they will have games they're willing to negotiate on if they've been sitting for a while, or if they have new inventory that hasn't been sorted yet. Be willing to let you look through it before it's picked through. Number 4, sometimes it's better to hold on to games for a while or even for years. The market fluctuates. If you hold on to the right items, you just might be looking at much larger profits later. Imagine if you had held on to the original Legend of Zelda, still sealed in the package, anticipating that someday in the future it would be sold for $400,000. Well, this guy did. Can you imagine making that much money on one video game just because you decided to hold on to it for a long time? So it may be wise to purchase 2 copies of something if you have one that you want to play and the other one that you want to just save until the price goes up. And sometimes prices will fluctuate just within a year or two enough to increase your profit margin. So that leads me to my number 5 tip, which is don't be scared of vintage video games. I know a lot of people only look for new titles, but oftentimes at yard sales and various different places you can find a box full of Atari games, a box full of Nintendo games, and you know, you can, if you're a video game player yourself, if you like to play vintage video games, you can just keep the ones you like and sell the rest of them. So that leads me to number 6, which is find quality first. And then beyond that, it's okay to look for quantity too. You may, if you have like big stacks of things that aren't worth a lot, you may have to put them into lots and sell multiple items together. So that's all I have for tip number 6 is just look, like, do your research, look at the sell-through rate. If the sell-through rate is high, you're going to want to hold on to that so you can flip it. And it's really easy to look up the sell-through rate. Just you know, type in the item into eBay and it'll show you how many are listed, and then go into your search and hit sold and completed items and see how many have actually sold recently. And there is some math in there, but just basically going off of both of those things, it'll tell you whether it's going to sell quickly. So thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I am going to give you my absolute number 1 most important tip is that before you even list any video game or any video game console or a controller of any kind, make sure that you're actually plugging these things in, testing them, checking for scratches, checking to see if discs still play, checking to see if controllers still work. I know it's hard sometimes because we don't all own like every game system, so it's difficult to test controllers, but there are ways, places that you can go. You can go to game stores, go to vintage game stores, and they'll let you like plug things in and test things, you know, and maybe while you're there give them some business. But that is the absolute most important thing, and it seems like it would be common sense, but so many people will list and sell things that they have not tested and then get, you know, bad ratings on their store because the people find that the item doesn't work and they want to do a return. So you get negative feedback basically. So that is the number 1 tip, and my extra input today, along with like pay attention to the sell-through rate on things, like that's the number 1 thing as with any item, is that yes, video games in 2024 are still very, very viable to sell. Video game items in general have a very high sell-through rate. Even sometimes items that are not high dollar flips still have a very good sell-through rate just due to the large audience that plays video games. So thanks for sticking around, as I said, and as always, keep on drinking that coffee and keep on freelancing. Have a great day.
Well, I'll catch you on the flippity flip. Bye.